everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So the past few weeks I have been quite busy, and one of the reason was I have completed my 7 years in Germany, which means I'm eligible to apply for a German passport. So I was busy completing all the documentation, making sure that I have everything ready because the process itself is quite long, and I just wanted to make sure that I have everything with me, all the documents and everything. And the only document that was missing was German B1 certificate. So in November, I booked an appointment for my exam, and in December, I appeared for my exam, and I am happy to tell you that I have passed my exam with very good grades in the first attempt. So I thought maybe I could make a short video for all of you who are going to appear for your B1 exam, for your permanent residency application, or maybe for your passport application, or maybe you just want to do this for the university or any other reason. So in this video, I'm going to share some tips, some tricks, which will help you to do your exam very well. And maybe it will also help you to prepare for your exam. Because one thing that I have experienced throughout these past weeks was how to prepare for the exam. So now that I have been through this experience myself, I thought maybe I could share some tips, some tricks, which will definitely help you in your B1 exam. So I did not spend too many days to prepare for my B1 exam. So I thought maybe I could prepare for my exam very smartly and try to be ready for the exam first, rather than focusing that whatever German that I'm speaking is perfect. So I will share some tips, but one of the tips I can already tell you that so this exam is not to test that your German is perfect. This exam is a test that will see if you're able to understand basic German, if you're able to communicate in basic German, if you're able to if you can understand, like when you listen someone speaking, you're understanding the basic German, for example, an announcement at the Bahnhof or something like that. So B1 exam is not to check if your Deutsch is perfect. This is just a test that you can, if you can live in Germany while knowing enough German. Yeah. So let me share some of the tips and tricks which will help you for your B1 exam. So as we all know that we have 3 options to appear for the exam, or 3 types of exam I would say. So in this video, I will be talking mainly about Goethe exam, which can also be transferable to Telc exam as well, because the pattern is just a little bit different, but if you're prepared for one, you can already be prepared for the other as well. But all the examples that I will take in this video will be only based on Goethe exam, but these tips and tricks can also be transferred to the Telc exam. So tip number 1, do not waste your time, because you might have limited time. Do not waste your time learning grammar, going through A1, A2, all the grammar, learning accusative, nominative, dative. Do not waste your time if you don't have enough time to prepare for your exam. So do not waste your time on grammar. Rather, what you should do is you should solve as much as examples you can, like this one. So what I did, I prepared for this exam in maybe less than 10 days. So maybe 1 week with full concentration and a couple of other days. So what I did was I only solved all these example questionnaires which I found online. If you want, I can also send you some of these that I already have, but these you can also find online. I will also share some link that you can use, but do not waste your time learning, going through all your books and everything. Just solve the papers as much as you can. I personally solved, I think, around 8 or 9 questionnaires. And after 8 or 9, I was a little bit confident that when the exam comes, I can easily do it. This will give you enough confidence. This will also make sure that you know how the exam is going to be. And one of the important things that I learned while doing these questionnaires or the example papers, that to manage time, because you have limited time for each module, for example, reading or listening or writing. So you have very limited time. So this will also help you to manage your time. So I was using my phone as a timer, and I was checking how much time do I spend on each question. So you can do that as well. Tip number 2. So at the end of the exam, or at the end of each module, you have to put all your answers on this page. I will add a picture here. So you have to add all your answers here. So if you're gonna fill on the paper itself, do it with a pencil, but at the end you have to move all your answers to the answer sheet here. If you don't move them here, they will not be considered. So please make sure that you move all your answers to this answer sheet. Usually you have enough time at the end to move everything here. But in the beginning of the exam, the proofer or the person who is taking the exam, he will also explain you the rules, but these rules will be explained in German. So make sure that you move your answers here and do it with a pen, and please try to mark them in the right way. So I'm going to go through module by module, starting with reading. So in reading Goethe exam, you're going to get 5 parts, and you have to do all these 5 parts in 65 minutes. You have 1 hour, 5 minutes. So maybe you can use 1 hour to fill all of these and use last 5 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet at the end. So the trick that I used in the reading was, the first trick is try to read the questions first instead of the passage. So try to read the answers first and try to highlight the ones, maybe the main information that is asked in the question. And try to highlight it, and when you read the passage, don't read the whole passage, but try to look for those highlighted words or something similar. So it will save you a lot of time. You don't have to go through each line. Only look for the information, and then when you see that information, try to read that sentence, and it will help you to answer that question. And that is the first one. But the second trick that I did, which for me it was very useful, was, for example, in tile 3 and tile 4, you have 7 questions each. So you have 14, right? So these 2 parts are the one which weighs the highest marks. So I try to make sure that I do everything right here, because for example, in tile 3 there is a question where you have some information and you have to match it to an advertisement. This is quite easy because it's written in very simple German. For example, in my case, there was a question which was related to German course, like someone was advertising about German course, something about the books, something about the travel agency. So I tried to spend as less time as possible and try to get all these 7 questions right, because this was one of the quite easiest exercises. So I did this tile 3 first instead of the first one. It helped me a lot, but try to see it for yourself when you do these example question papers. Then try to see how is it easy for you. Same goes for tile 4, where in tile 4 there are also 7 questions, but it's about, they would give you a statement on the top and there would be different people making a comment about it. And then you have to answer whether they are against the statement or are they in favor. In my case, the question was about smoking is forbidden, and then everyone made a comment about it, and I tried to read the comments and I tried to look for something they said positive or negative. So this was also quite an easy exercise for me. So I did tile 3 and tile 4 first, and then I made sure that I've got enough points that I might pass this already, because you need to pass 60% in order to pass each module, and scoring 60% means you have to get 18 right out of 30 questions. So I made sure that I got these 7 and 7, 14 right, and then I got some from the other ones where I spend more time reading the passage, but I tried to highlight the words and I tried to look for them. But because I did tile 3 and tile 4 first, I was already a bit confident about that I am going to pass this, and then I don't have to rush through the exam. So I use this trick, but try to see for yourself what works for you. When you do the example question paper, you would already have a sense what could work for you. Okay. Now that we are done with the reading module, in between we get a break of around half an hour, and then we go back to the examination room or the hall to do the next module. In my case, the next module was listening. So for the listening part, you have about 40 minutes to complete the module. So in this module, there would be 4 parts, so 4 questions, and you have about 40 minutes to complete all of these. You need to know, this is very important, that tile 1, part 1, and tile 4, part 4, you can listen the recording twice. So they will play the recording of tile 1 and tile 4 twice, which makes it easier. Like if you miss something in the first in the first try, you can recheck in the second one. But for tile 2 and tile 3, they will only be played once. So you have to make sure that you are listening to the recording, and then you make sure that you choose the right answer, because the recording will not be played again. Here, one of the tips I can give you is try to sit at the front, which will be a little bit closer to the recording, because at least in my case, I did not want to be distracted. So I tried to sit in the first row. And in this way, I could not see the other participants, or I could not see the other students or the participant who were doing the exam with me. So I was not being disturbed by, like if they're opening the page and if there's extra noise. So I wanted to avoid the noise from the classroom. And I also wanted to hear it quite like without any noises. So if the hall is quite big, especially, try to sit closer to the recording tape, which is usually at the front. In my case, the classroom was quite small, so it didn't make much of a difference, but I didn't want to take any chances. So I tried to sit in the first row, and it was helpful that I also didn't want to see other people just to distract myself. So it was quite helpful to sit in the first row. So because tile 1 and tile 4 will be played twice, in the tile 1 there would be 6 questions, and in tile 4 there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of them in tile 4 and 6 in tile 1, which means you can already score quite well if you get these 2 right. So try to put all your attention in these 2 questions, which will give you very good marking in the listening paper. And then for tile 2 and tile 3, there's a possibility that you might miss something. But make sure that you do tile 2 and tile 4 right. This is what I did, and I scored pretty well in the listening as well. So that was quite helpful for me. Yeah, everything else was easy. You just have to make sure. And one other thing that I did in the listening exam was I was also looking for the highlights. Before they play the recording, they give you like 20 to 30 seconds to read through the questions. So while reading, I already highlighted the information that might be asked in the recording. So I highlighted if they're asking about any insurance, or if they're asking about canceling any appointment. So I underlined the cancel and appointment. So I know that as soon as they say something about this, it is about this question number 1 or 2 or so. So try to highlight in the first those 20 seconds in those questions to make it easier for you, because when the recording is played, you would like to only concentrate on the recording instead of on the paper. The next module is Schreiben, or writing exam. So in this writing exam, you will have again 1 hour to complete the module, and it will have 3 parts. So in the first part, they will ask you to write an email to any of your friends describing about something. Like I think in my case, I had to write a letter to my friend to tell her how is learning from the computer is helping me. Instead of going to the class, how can I read from home? Like, how can I do the course online, and how is the experience? And then I had to explain it to her in the email. So it was quite easy. The second part was they will give you a statement about something. Like, there is this one statement, and someone will make a comment about it, and then you have to express your opinion about that certain topic. So here you have about like 25 minutes to express your opinion. You don't have to write any Liebe or Lieber or anything or ending. It's just a comment. It's just like you made a comment on Facebook, right? It's just like you don't say dear or anything in the beginning. You just write a statement. So that's what you have to do in part 2. And in part 3, you have to write a formal email to someone. In my case, I had to write an email to one of my neighbors saying that I will not make it to the party that he has on Saturday, and I also had to give him a reason why I won't be there in his party on the weekend. So it was a formal letter, and here you're supposed to write a short letter. It's just only 40 words, so it's quite easy. So these 3 parts. So how I prepared for the writing exam, because this was a little bit tricky, because sometimes we speak okay, but when we have to write, we have to make sure that we use the capital letters for all the nouns. Then we have to make sure that I put the comma in the right place, I have started it in the right way, and so on. So my tips and tricks for the writing part would be like, number 1, make sure that you always get the starting and the closing right. Because in any case, there are always some marks, like a specific grade for how you start and how you end. Make sure, like, for example, if it's a female, like you write Liebe Frau this, Lieber Herr this, if it's a male. So you need to know, maybe just remember, how would you write it formally? Like if it's some person, some teacher or someone, or how would you write if it's a friend? So try to remember these. And also at the end, like how you end it, like if it's a formal email, how would you end it? If it's an informal, how you end? Make sure that you get these right. In my case, I just wrote these on a paper, like how would I write it for a formal and how would I write it for an informal. So this was quite helpful. And the second was, try to make sure, do not miss. For example, I'm writing to a friend and I write Liebe Anna, and then I put a comma at the end. And then when I start my sentence, like Ich hoffe or something, the first letter of Ich would be small, unlike in English. So here, because you have already put a comma up there, like Liebe Anna and then Ich, here in German, they consider that it's a continuation of the same Liebe Anna. So the first letter would be small. So try to make sure that you do not make a mistake. The first letter would be small, Ich hoffe, blah, 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 and so on. So what I did was I wrote a general statement that I can use in all the letters, or maybe I used like 2 or 3 I prepared actually, which I can use in any situation. If I have to describe something, how would I start? I had an example. If I have to excuse myself about something, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I couldn't make it, how would I start it? Or the third one was like, I'm sorry, you couldn't make it. If someone was not able to make it to my party, how would I write it? If she's sick, how would I start it? So I made a general starting for all the writings that I could just change a little bit, and I can alter it to any situation. So I went through a lot of online content and some examples, which I can also share it with you. I will put some links as well, which you can use. So try to make some examples for yourself, which you can use in any situation for the starting and for the ending. Because in the middle, you would it would be based on this situation that is given, right? But if you could already get the points for starting and for ending, like you already get half of the points, and then in the middle part, you can change according to the situation. And the middle part would always be like describing something or sharing an experience. So I always try to remember some good vocabulary that I can use. How would I write it, and how can I change them according to the situation? So your takeaway from this should be to prepare a journal statement that you can use in any letter in the beginning and at the end. Maybe you can prepare 2 or 3, which would be easy to remember, and then those you can use in any situation. At least that's what I did. And same goes for the comment part, where you have to express your opinion about something. You have to make sure how you start the sentence. For example, in my case, I started Ich bin der Meinung, which means in my opinion, blah, blah, blah. And like you would write a statement, and then at the end, I would also write a conclusion one. So because of this, I think this should be like this. This is usually will already be mentioned in the statement, so I just try to use the same wording that they put in the statement, and then I just try to conclude it like you would do in English, right? So this was also quite easy. This trick actually helped me because while preparing some example, I already remembered how to do this, and I was just making sure that all the commas and the capital letters and small letters, I do them right. So you will already get quite some good marks here already. So try this, do an example question. And if you still have any questions, please leave a comment here, or you can also reach out to me on my Instagram, and I will also try my best to reply to you. And I will also share my content that I use to prepare for myself. I have some in hard copy. I also have some in the soft copy that I can also share it with you. So the last module, that is speaking, expression. So here, what happened was we had a break after the listening module. We had about 1.5 hour break, depending on at what number you are in. So they made a list, they shared a list that your appointment for the speaking part would be at this time. So we were waiting in a waiting room, and then they paired us up. So you will get a partner with whom you will do your speaking exam, right? The partner would be one of the participants who is doing an exam as well. So when my turn came, or me and my partner, when our turn came, so what they did was they gave us few papers to fill in our name and everything. And then on the paper, there were 2 themes, 2 options that we had to choose one of these 2 to prepare for the presentation part. So in speaking, there are basically 3 parts in Goethe exam. The first one is you get a situation that you plan a party with your partner, or someone is sick that you're going to see that person. So you have to plan, how are you going to go there? Are you going to take the train? Are you going to take the bus? So you have to plan something with the partner. That is the first part. In the second part, you have to give a small presentation about a topic. These themes that I've already mentioned, you get 2 options, and you are free to choose whichever one you want to choose. So that is also okay. And in the third part, you have to give some feedback to your partner who had just given his presentation. You can give him some feedback, and then you also have to ask him a question. And sometimes the examiner will also ask you just a little bit of question here as well, but that's not too in detail, maybe just a little bit about whatever you said. They can ask you something. So let's start with the first part. So in the first part, what they did is, as soon as we went into a room, they gave us already the topic about the theme for the first part, that we are gonna do the discussion with my partner. So we already know the question 15 minutes before the expression exam, right? So we were in an empty room with one person. We went through the topic, and I already made some notes. So on that paper, they also give you an extra sheet where you can make some notes. I just made some bullet points. Do not write a whole story. I just wrote the bullet points, like as soon as I see him, how am I going to greet him? What options I'm going to give him? And if it's a party, what are we going to do? I just wrote some pointers, that would just help me to speak. So after 15 minutes, and I also choose the theme for my second part. So I looked through both options, and whichever option was quite easy for me, I chose it. And on that paper, there's also space where you can already write some points for yourself, like this one. Like they have already given some criteria how you're supposed to do the presentation. For example, you have to describe your topic, what is it about, and then you have to explain your personal experience, meine persönlichen Erfahrungen. So here you have to say something from your personal life, some experience, and then you have to explain how is this situation in your home country. So you have to explain a little bit how is it in your country about this topic, and then Vor- and Nachteile, which means some pros and cons of this specific topic that you have to explain. And at the end, you have to conclude your presentation, and then your partner will ask you a question here. In my case, I had two options, but I'll come to that later. But first, let us speak about the part one, right? So after 15 minutes, I already went through the questions. After 15 minutes, we went into the room where the exam was happening. So it was me and my partner. First, we introduced ourselves to the examiners, and then they just asked a simple question like, why are you doing this B1 exam? So I told them that I'm doing this B1 exam because I want to apply for Deutsche Pass. And my partner told them that he needs it for his university. So after the very brief introduction, we moved to the first part of the speaking exam. That was planning a party. So in our case, the situation was we had to plan a party for one of our friends, and we should plan a surprise party for her, and we should also choose what gift or present we're gonna give it to her. So I already started speaking. Don't always wait for your partner to speak up. Whoever speaks up first, or whoever initiates new ideas, new words, gets points as well. So I initiated. I said, hey, you know that this person has birthday this weekend, and I think we should plan a party for her, and like, what do you think? And then I said something, and I just tried to give him the floor so he could speak a little bit. And then he said something about it, and then he asked me, okay, then what gift should we buy for her, and what does she like? And then I tried to use some vocabulary, and I said, I think, yeah, she told me last weekend that she needs this for her apartment, and I think we can buy this, and I think she would really like it, and she would be happy. And then he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So whenever someone says something, try to throw in some words like, oh yeah, that's great, oh, that's a good idea. So I already prepared some of the words that I can use in any situation. You can also say that, oh no, that's not a good idea, maybe we should do this. So it went quite nice that we managed it well. My partner was quite nice, but it is also possible that your partner might not be too nice, and maybe he will not let you speak. So try to initiate, speak as much as you can, and also do not interrupt too much your partner. Try to be nice and try to use new words as much as you can. Don't repeat your words, and always try to stay calm. It's just a conversation between the friends, so you can be informal. You don't have to use ZZ, so you can be informal and you can speak like freely, and you can use all the quick words like, yeah, toll, das ist eine tolle Idee, and try to throw in these words. So the first part went quite okay. And then once we were done, we moved to the second part where we had to give a presentation about a topic. We already had two options and we were free to choose whichever one I want. So in my case, there were two options. One was about having a pet. I think, which pet do you have? And should people have a pet or not, or and so on. I don't have a pet, so this was a little bit hard for me to choose, so I chose this second theme, which was should everyone speak English? And this was quite easy for me because like I do speak English, and my German is not so well, so it was easy for me to relate to the topic, and it was easy for me to relate to my country as well, that I can share my experience. So I started the presentation about introducing the topic, and then I went into my personal experience, like when did I learn English? I told them that it's one of the official languages in my country, and then we learn it at school. All our books are in English, so it's a little bit easier for us to learn English compared to maybe kids in Germany. And then I also explained like how is it in my home country, like I already mentioned. And then I also shared some pros and cons. Yeah, I said that, yeah, learning English is nice, but when you come to Germany, when you are too comfortable with English, your motivation to learn German would be a little bit low. So I made some points in favor and in against, and then at the end I just concluded my presentation, and then my partner asked me a couple of questions. And then it came to his turn, his turn, and then he gave his presentation. And at the end, I gave him feedback. Yeah, I really liked your presentation, and but I just have one question. And then I asked him a question, and then he answered the question, and then we were done here. So the whole process took about 20 minutes, and then afterwards we were done. And one of the good things about Goethe is I received the exam in exact 2 weeks, exam results in exact 2 weeks, and it came to my house. But here one annoying part was when you go for exam, you also have to take an envelope already stamped in which they could send you the result back. So I already wrote my address on the envelope, and then I already stamped it, and then they used that envelope to send me back the results. So this was my whole experience of the exam. I hope it will help you a little bit to understand how does the process goes for Goethe, and this could also help you for your Telc B1 exam as well. So if you have any further questions, please write me in the comments, or you can also write me on my Instagram, and I will try my best to answer as soon as I can. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you good luck for your exam, and please do tell me how your exam goes. But until then, take care of yourself and goodbye.